Hello, welcome to the companion video for the lecture Virus Defense that you can find by looking at the description below. There's a click there. In this portion, we're going to be practicing Qigong with the intention of maximizing well-being, resiliency, but especially with a focus on the immune system in the interest of defending oneself against viral infection. And if one is infected, a way to be able to speed up recovery, maximize the function of the immune system, and all of the aspects of our personal self, physiologically, mentally and emotionally, and spiritually, in the interest of integrating these three aspects of ourself: the mind-body connection under the big, beautiful umbrella of the aspect of ourself that we don't really know too much about, which we could call the transpersonal self or the spiritual self. And we've talked about, in the lecture, we talked about nutrition and herbal remedies and homeopathy, and there's a lot of information there. Now our focus is simply the practice itself. And so I'm going to step back. You can do these practices sitting. I'm sitting right now. I'm going to step back. You won't be able to see my feet, but it doesn't matter because basically my feet are parallel, typically at about the width of my shoulders. And we're going to draw upon a body of information called The Healer Within, Medical Qigong methodology or practice. And so this is a set of mind-body practices based on what are called the 4 dimensions of Qigong, or the 4 baskets of practice. That is body practice, posture, adjustment and movement, breath practice, deepening the breath and aligning the breath with the gestures, mind focusing practice, which means paying attention to the present moment as opposed to being distracted by everything in the world around us, and self-applied massage practice. And you may remember from the lecture video that Medical Qigong has 3 parts. This particular approach to Medical Qigong has 3 parts. The first part, we do Qigong practices, physical, breath, woven. Then we do, second part is that we work on the ears and the hands and the feet. In this particular case, we'll do the ears and the hands. That'll be exemplary, and then I'll give a little guidance for how to do the feet. And then we'll do the third part, which is to use massage on the parts of the body that are the most associated with viral infection, which in this case is going to be the immune system. And for the immune system, we'll be working on the organs, and I'll show you how to do that. And then also directly on the lungs, and I'll show you how to do that. And then we will conclude by what's called closing and drifting. Drifting means to basically become aware of the energies within us and around us. Remember that the earth is a magnet, and so there's magnetic energy all the time within and around us. And then the boundless sky, which is not only our own sun, but the sun of other galaxies, the suns of other galaxies, and even the suns of what are called super galaxies in the universe that we know. And so there's a lot of energy coming this way, and there's a lot of energy coming this way. And in the lecture, we talked about that, the yin energy rising and the yang energy descending to merge, just like in this image here, where the sky energy and the earth and water energy merge. How those energies merge in our own experience is that the boundless sky energy, or the energy of heaven, as it is called in the Chinese tradition, and the energy of earth merge to provide us with our being. And this is all in direct association with Chinese medicine and Chinese philosophy. And if you haven't listened to that lecture yet, I'll just introduce that my background is in Chinese medicine with 40 years clinical practice, and I'm now the director of the Institute of Integral Qigong and Tai Chi, where we train teachers and practice leaders as well as do research on these mind-body practices. So let's get started. Stand if you're able, but everything that we're doing here can be done seated as well, with modifications, of course, and you can figure that out. But I'm inviting you, if you're sitting, to use your imagination for how you can make the adjustments to do the practices sitting. Most of them will be really obvious, and I will also mention on occasion, if you're sitting, then, etc. Okay, here we go. So remember, my feet are parallel. Right now they're together. When I open, when I do what's called opening, then my feet will be at about shoulder width, and they will also be parallel. I could step back just a little bit, but then it's a little harder for you to see. So I'm thinking I'll step forward, given the fact that you know that my feet are parallel, either at shoulder width or parallel, standing close together. The first thing that we'll do is what's called aligning between heaven and earth. And so how you do aligning between heaven and earth is that you stop everything else. Bring your attention to what we're doing now. Reflect upward into the sky and think to yourself, where is the end of the sky? And then reflect downward to the earth and think, I know what the earth is. It's a substance and it has a certain size. The sky, however, is not a substance, and nobody knows what the size of the sky is. Kind of amazing. So we want to do that. We want to be kind of amazed. And part of that amazement is to recognize that the body is like the earth, and that the mental, emotional self and the spiritual self are like the sky. And then we'll do what is called 3 treasures. 3 treasures. I'm trying to get 3 so that you can see it. 3 treasures. The posture, the breath, and the mind focus. So first, posture. Sink into your knees. Lengthen your spine. Head on top. Shoulders drop. Fingers soft. And by the way, everything that we're doing here is a small part of a longer program, which is called the Healer Within Medical Qigong Library. And we're actually making this whole library, which is usually sold for $300, available to this audience, anyone who's listening here, for $99. Mostly as an offer to the world to empower people to be resilient enough to survive viruses, either an annual virus, which is very common, or a epidemic or pandemic virus, which is less common. So posture, sink, lengthen your spine, head lift up, shoulders drop, fingers soft. Make some space between your arms and your body. So in other words, not just drop down, but notice that when I turn my palms back, my elbows make some space. Second treasure, breath, deep, relaxed breath. Exhale slowly. Do that again. And eventually we're going to be moving and breathing in concert. It's a big part of the power of Qigong, this form of mind-body practice. Now, mind focus, the third treasure is how can we sustain the present moment focus for this practice? And we can use a gesture. In one hand, either hand, place your past. In the other hand, either hand, place your future. Bring your hands together. Now notice when your past or future is here, your future, your past is here. Notice how when your hands go like this, it's like the past is just pouring out. And the concerns about the future are just pouring out. And when you get to the center, there's no space. It's like a sliver between your hands, which is representative of the present. So when we're doing this, we can say to ourselves, and now, with purpose and intent, I'm committing to attending to the present moment for the duration of this practice and even into my life. So the idea there is we want to get the benefit from the duration of this practice by present moment focus, but I'm going to be practicing present moment focus so that when I'm in my car or answering my phone or negotiating anything, that I have a point of contact in myself about what the present moment focus means, so that I can sustain that throughout my day and even my life. Now, on purpose with intent, I'm committing to sustaining the present moment focus for the duration of this practice and even into my life. Now we do what's called opening. And opening means simply shift your weight to one side, lift the free foot, step out, bring yourself to 50-50, meaning that 50% of your weight is on each foot, balanced, sink, rise, head, shoulders, fingers, soft. Now begin to rock forward and back. I'm exaggerating because otherwise you won't be able to see so much about it, but I'm going forward now. And then I'm going back. I'm going forward now. And then I'm going back. And notice that I'm turning my palms forward. And then I'm turning my palms back. As I go forward, my weight is going onto the ball of my foot and my toes. When I go back, the weight is on the ball of my foot and my heels. Now I'm going to link the breathing at the same time as I raise my hands a little further. I'm inviting you to decide, are you breathing in now or out? Then palms down. Opposite, are you breathing out now or in? The idea is on the inhale or the exhale, we go one way. And then on the exhale or the inhale, we go the other way. And you decide. The most powerful part of mind-body practice and Qigong is when you are making decisions about how to regulate your movement and your breathing. Going deeper and deeper into relaxation. The Qigong effect is movement and posture, breath regulation, and mind focus on what's happening now. My hands are raising, my hands are lowering. My breath is whatever my breath is, I've decided to breathe. My pace, I'm suggesting that you not try to follow my pace, but instead develop your own pace. These three, called the three treasures, body practice, breath practice, and mind practice, are the marvelous invention of all the great sages and wizards of all the great indigenous cultures. Every culture has some kind of movement practice that's done in a way to celebrate nature and the seasons and to celebrate events and to become more resilient, more well, more sustainably functional. Now you could continue doing this practice. It's just one of the ones that's in the Medical Qigong video library, should you decide to pursue that. For now, just deeper and deeper into relaxation. And as you raise your hands and get to somewhere around in here, get a feeling like you're almost lifting off, like you're just lifting off, taking flight. Let's do it one more time. And then concluding. And now drifting, just being very quiet, staying present moment focused. Allow the breath to continue to be full, or take a deep breath now and then. And just be restful and present moment focused. Now we're going to do one more in the Medical Qigong library, there are 5 movements. We're just going to do 2 here. And we're doing them very briefly as an exemplary, because I want to do about 35, 40 minutes of practice with you. Powering up the immune system and all the functional capacities of our being. The first one's called flowing motion. We just did that. Now comes honoring heaven and earth. And it goes like this. This time we'll breathe in all together. Raise your hands, breathe in, turn palms away, sink down, and press up. Now exhale, bring your hands down, make fists. Press your fists together and look down. Breath in, deep, full. Exhale. Make fists. Press your fists together. Face down. You may notice that there are lots of opposites going on here. Looking up or facing up if your eyes are closed, and looking down or facing down if your eyes are closed. Now, second opposite is contracting and releasing. When you raise up, breathe in long, deep, slow inhalation. Exhale and contract and press your fists together with force. So the opposite is contracting and releasing. Notice that you're also facing up and facing down. You're breathing in and breathing out. You're contracting and you're releasing. When you breathe in, your spine is bending one way. When you breathe out, your spine is bending the other way. Notice how big and deep and slow the breaths are. It's like we're creating a pump. In Qigong terms, you would call it a Qi pump. Now this time, let's add on. Press your fist together with force. Contract your face, like make a funny face. And contract your feet against the floor. Grasp your toes. Exhale. Contract. Now relax. Breathe in. Turn palms up. This practice is so powerful for the immune system. It is accelerating the lymphatic system, which is loaded with immune cells. And because you're relaxing, when you're tense, your immune cells tend to shut down. When you're relaxed, your immune cells turn on. So we're turning on the immune cells, plus we're pumping the lymphatic system, which is carrying these immune cells to all the parts of the body. So this is a rapid turn on for the medicine within. Plus we're relaxing. which is circulating neurotransmitters which are associated with rest and restoration and rehabilitation and healing. Now let's add one more contraction. The next time you bring your hands down, make fists, press your fists together with force, contract your face, contract your feet, and in your pelvis, right where your legs come together, there's a set of muscles called the perineum. Contract your perineum. This is the set of muscles that you would use to curtail the urine stream. Contract, 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 contract. Fists, face, feet, perineum. Relax everything. Big, deep, slow, relaxed breath. The orchestration of the three treasures here, movement, breath practice, and mind focus, that's the magic Qigong formula. Now, one more. We can conclude together if you wish. Fists and face and feet, perineum, contracting hard. And of course, you could do many more of these and get a greater benefit. Now, concluding, stand up straight, breathe in, open your hands in front of you, raise them. Exhale slowly now. Now we do drifting. Drifting means scan the body, relax. Notice what you're feeling. We're turning on the medicine within. We're turning on what the Chinese call the inner elixir. You cannot buy this elixir. You can only make it for no cost. Notice what you're feeling. For myself, because I do this on a regular basis, I feel a fluffy feeling in my hands, like my cells have gotten larger. My hands are a little warmer. Sink, rise. When you sink and rise, you make more space in the torso for the organs to be able to do what they do. And we're circulating the fluids, blood and lymph, and neurotransmitters are in the blood. And the cerebrospinal fluid is, we're opening the passageways for everything to be flowing, including what the Chinese call the qi. Qi being many things, energy, but also function. Think of the qi as the underlying feature of function. Your hands can be anywhere, here, 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 here. Sink into your knees, lift your head. Deep breath. Now we're going to do a breath practice, and it's called Shishi Hu. Shishi, Shi, X-I is the letters that we would use to translate the Chinese character. Shi means inhale. Hu means exhale. So when we say Shishi, it means inhale 2 times. Hu, exhale 1 time. Now there's a lot to know about this, and we're not going to take the time to have this be a lecture. We're going to have this be a time to experience the practice. And if you're interested in more, as I said, and I don't want to say it too many times, but I want to remind you that we're just putting a huge discount onto this $300 program. So look for the discount code and apply that. In the Medical Qigong library, there are numerous breath practices. This is just one of them. And when we do this slowly, what it does is that it enhances qi deficiency. When we do it rapidly, it expels the pathogen. So when we're talking about expelling the pathogen, what it means is to activate function and turn on the all of the immune system, all of the white blood cells, the lymphocytes, the monocytes, and the macrophages, and all of that. When we go fast, we're really supercharging the capacity of the immune system to attack microbes and discharge them from the body, kill them and discharge them. So the first part, the slow part, is to build up qi, power, function. And the fast part is to kill the viruses and expel them through the first through the lymphatic system, then into the blood system, through the kidneys, and then discharged as a waste product. This is so incredibly powerful. And of course, everything that we're doing is so incredibly powerful. Number one, because it is in fact powerful, but on the second part is because it's so easy to do. And notice how much it's costing. We can turn on the most profound medicine that's ever been invented by the human race because it's internal. It's a part of what we were born with. It's a birthright. So enough talk. Let's go slow, and then we'll go faster. Hands are facing up. Breathe in 2 times. Shi means breathe in 2 times. Inhale twice. First belly, then chest, or you can think first half, then whole, and then turn palms down. Exhale. And raise up and sink down. Raise up and sink down. 2 times breathing in. Hands down. Breathe in. Fill your lungs all the way. Now let's go very slow. And then there's a whole physiology that when you fill your lungs, the pressure in the thorax and the rib cage goes up, and the lung tissue is stretching. And there's what's called stretch receptors and baroreceptors, baro pressure, like in barometer. So 2 types of parts of the autonomic nervous system are being triggered to produce medicines in the body. So fill your lungs all the way. Go at your own pace. Over time, you'll learn how to breathe more fully, and you'll learn how to lengthen the breath. Notice I held the breath in for a few moments there. Now faster. 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 This is the part that's discharging, attacking and discharging the microbes. A little faster if you want to, or if you feel dizzy, you can stop or slow down. Five more, four more, three more. I got lost. Bonus round. How many was that? And then concluding. Now stop. Drift. Drifting means don't try to stand still. And by the way, if you feel motivated to just spin around and jump around, whatever you want to do, that's called spontaneous Qigong, please do. Or just settle in. Sink. Lengthen. Head on top, shoulders drop, fingers soft. Notice what you're feeling. That feeling is the medicine within. So when we say medical Qigong, what we're talking about is making medicine, naturally occurring healing resources within our own being. It's like the most profound medical breakthrough for our society ever in history. And you learn through the lecture portion of this program that happened in China over 5,000 years ago. So that by the time it got to 5,000 years ago, so it was a highly refined method for self-empowerment and self-realization and healing and celebrating our own inherent powers. Now we're going to go on by warm your hands up. If they're already warm, then take, this can be brief. If you're feeling cool or cold, press harder and make more heat. Now place one hand, your right hand on your liver and your left hand on your spleen and pancreas. Make some stroking massage gestures, circles going one way, and then back the other way, circles going the other way. Then stop. Now the liver is a high producing organ with a a multitude of functions. The spleen is directly associated with the immune system and the lymphatic system. And so now sink, unless your knees are uncomfortable, then always stay comfortable. And notice what you're feeling. You may feel that your hands are cooler than your body, or that your body's cooler than your hands. Notice the exchange between your hands and your body. And if it's not heat, maybe you're just feeling a slight pressure as you hold your hands near your body. Or you may feel a kind of like a trickling, like a very, very subtle current of ions or electrons. You're drifting. So don't try to stand still. Don't try to stand still. See if you can notice yourself coming under the influence of the forces of heaven and earth. The liver on one side, the spleen on the other, both powerhouses of function. And we're communicating with them now. Your liver and your spleen are probably, and your pancreas is right here too, or they're probably saying, wow, that's different. That feels like our owner, our host. The body in which we are lodging or residing is caring for us now. These kinds of practices are like self-applied energy management, pretty much like giving yourself acupuncture, really. Now, one hand for the heart, lungs, and thymus gland here in the sternum area, and one hand on your lower belly. Here's my belly button, and here's my bladder. And I'm making circles. Sink, adjust, lengthen. And then go the other way. Use the breath. Coordinate the posture, the movement, the breath, and the mind. See if you can keep focused on the present moment focus. And then hold. Drifting, in other words, not trying to stand still, but allowing yourself to just feel what could be a gentle sensation of energy is rising and flowing and circulating and amplifying. Notice what you're feeling. Notice the heat of your hands and the heat of the body, and if there's an exchange, or what else you might be feeling throughout your whole being. Now bring your hands around to the back and lift up as high as you can and stir your hands. It's kind of like that. And we're trying to get up as high as we can, up by the kidneys. And it's okay to bend over a little bit and reach higher. And then stop and place your hands flat on your back, just like you did in the front. And then bring yourself upright. Sink into your knees. Lift your head up. Big, deep breaths. And notice if your hands are warmer than your body. And notice the exchange of heat and cool. It's qi. Balancing and harmonizing the qi. Remember, we committed to stay focused on the present moment. So are you feeling distracted? Maybe bring your attention back to what we're doing, or come back later. And then bring your hands around to the front. Place one hand over the other. We're going to make circles around the large and small intestine. If you step out a little further and shift your weight as your hands are going this way, shift your weight. Hands go down, sink down. As your hands go this way, shift your weight this way. Raise your hands. So you're making circles around the large and small intestine. Up here is the liver, stomach, spleen, pancreas. Down here is the bladder and the reproductive organs. And so we're sending impulses, go both ways. Now, we're going to conclude soon. So you could ask the question, how many times should I do this? And the answer is, let's go back the other way. The answer is as many times as you feel. See, the thing is that if we're going to really get good at this, you're going to learn how to understand yourself, as opposed to saying, well, what should I do because I don't know what I'm doing? You reach other conclusions, like, I think I'll do this for a while longer because I know that it seems like it's a benefit for me and I want that benefit. Now make the circles smaller so that you come with your hands resting on the belly button. Sink down, lift up, breathe. Now let's call that part one of Medical Qigong. Part one is do Qigong practice with sincerity and enthusiasm and present moment focus. Part two is to massage the ears, the hands, and the feet. But first, let's do a closing gesture. Palms forward. Reach around you. My hand's going behind this plant here. Shift your weight as if you're gathering resources from nature and then bathing yourself. As your hands are passing your brain, your eyes, ears, nose, mouth, all the senses associated there, the vertebral column and the spine, the marrow of all the bones of your ribs and your spine, your organs, your heart, lungs, thymus gland, thyroid gland, liver, spleen, pancreas, stomach, kidneys, adrenal glands, large and small intestine, bladder, reproductive organs. Now drifting. See if you can hold the present moment focus for one more deep breath. Now, to conclude, we could make a little bow here like that, or we could make a bow by placing our hand on our heart and wishing each other the very best of all possible outcomes. We can do this one where the fist is a demonstration of our power, and this one is a demonstration of our peace and openness. So then we're going to do part 2 and part 3 of Medical Qigong, just briefly. Part 2, send the healing resources to the parts that need it the most, but not on the part, by using the ears, hands, and feet. So rubbing your ears are like reflexes to the whole body. And so as you're rubbing the upper part of your ears, you're stimulating the lower part of your body. And when you're working on the lobe, the lower part of your ears, you're stimulating the upper part of your body, your head, your neck, your brain. There's a part of your ears that you can't grab between your fingers, so you're going to use the tips of your fingers and rub on. It's like you're rubbing against your skull. You can feel that there's a bone, solid bone behind where you're rubbing. Now, we're only doing this in an exemplary sort of way. So when you do the practice on your own, you want to extend the parts that you feel would benefit from being extended, and you learn about how to do that by practicing. You know, practice makes perfect and all of that. So then, not because we've done this long enough, but because we want to keep our video fairly brief and exemplary, go to the ears, then the hands, thumb in the palm of the hand, fingers behind, pressing, 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 moving around, press different parts. Lower part, press middle part, press upper part of your palm, press up into your fingers. All of this is explained very thoroughly in that Medical Qigong program that I've mentioned a few times. Can you take a deep breath while you're rubbing your hands? And by the way, your thumb is on the palm side, but your fingers can be working between the bones on the back side of your hand. In that video, as we've described, there's a whole bunch of different kinds of massage, neck massage, the organs. We just did a little bit with the organs. There's something called tracing the chi channels, a very powerful practice. Now, can you lengthen your posture while you're doing this? Yes. That's treasure 1. Can you deepen your breath while you're doing this? Yes. That's treasure 2. Can you focus on what you're doing in the present moment? Yes. Treasure 3. Let's go to the other side. Pressing and releasing, pressing and releasing, pressing and releasing. Press and press and press and press and press. And breathe and lengthen. It's like you turn into a medicine-producing machinery when you stop worrying about everything else, bring your attention to the present moment, and then use these 3 treasures for baskets of practice. Exciting. Very exciting. You are making medicine right now that you cannot buy. Somebody would say, well, you know, I'll give you $1 million if you give me that medicine. And we would say, can't do it. The only way you can have this medicine is to do the practice yourself. Cultivate the capacity to maximize your functional self and turn on, listen to this phrase, naturally occurring inner healing resources. Wow. So look to the longer program for neck massage, organ massage, more information on the ears, hands, and feet. We'll pass on the feet right now because it's hard for me to show you, but you can imagine the lower part of your foot around the heel is associated with the lower part of the body. The middle part of your hand and foot is associated with your torso, and from the knuckles of your fingers or the knuckles of your toes on your foot and towards the toes or fingers is associated with the upper part of your body. You look for the sorest spots. So that's part two. Part one was do Qigong generally, any kind of Qigong. Part two is to rub the ears, hands, and feet to mobilize the inner resources and send inner healing resources to the parts in another way. And then there's the third way that we're going to do this. Part three is to use your massage, and there are four kinds of massage. There's pressing, holding, like in what is called Reiki or polarity or different types of healing methodologies where you hold and hold, stroking, and tapping. You've probably heard of tapping, and of course, tapping is a kind of Qigong, well recognized in China, been a part of Chinese medicine for thousands of years. And it's a recent, sounds like a recent breakthrough, but it's just a remembrance of the practices of indigenous and shamanic cultures. We can talk to ourselves during any portion of Qigong in positive terms, call that an affirmation, so that you can be tapping and affirming. You can be breathing and affirming. You can be doing gestures and affirming, and so forth. So part three of Medical Qigong is go to the parts that need it the most. Now, for viruses and immune defense, we want to go especially to the thymus gland. And so let's tap on the thymus gland for a few moments. Breath. Deep and long and slow. So right at the sternum, but then also in the ribs between the sternum. Now we're pressing. Big breath. And then, because the liver, the kidneys, and the spleen are all factories for purification, and the spleen especially is associated with the immune system, we're going to tap on the spleen. That's on your left side. And you can tap on the rib and then under the rib. And we'll just do it briefly. You would typically do this longer. And then let's go to the liver, which is just a big manufacturing plant. And it has so many functions that science doesn't even know what all of them are. So on the ribs and between the ribs, like there's a very important point right there between these two ribs. There's another one there. Just tapping on those points and sending waves of vibration into these organs. And then tap on your kidneys. Use this part or this part, or this part on your back. Now, just as an example, if your neck is bothering you, then during part 3 of Medical Qigong, you would work on your neck. If your elbow is bothering you, then you would work on part 3, you'd work on your elbow. For the immune system, which is everywhere, and for things like sleep problems, which sleep doesn't really have a location, then you work on all the organs and all of the areas of discomfort, and so forth. And so now let's close again. Gather from around you as if you're gathering the earth and the energy of the living things, trees and animals, and then the sky, the boundless heavenly sky. And now bathe yourself as if you are infusing yourself with profound healing energies. Hands restful. If you're sitting, you put your hands in your lap. If you're standing, your hands would just be somewhere soft and gentle, someplace comfortable. You can place one hand on the other and place your hands on your heart. You can place your hands on your metabolic organs. You can place your hands on your belly button. Drifting for a moment, deep breaths. And then let's conclude. Well, what a pleasure for me to be able to advocate for your inherent power, to remind you, or if you've already been reminded and you're enthusiastic about these things, then to join you, to offer you something that you can share with your friends and family that is intended to enhance your well-being, your life, your wellness, your health recovery, your productivity, to lower your stress and raise your resiliency. The program that these practices are drawn from, we did about 1/8. We drew upon 1/8 of the whole program, Healer Within Medical Qigong. If you go to your bookstore or to Amazon, you can find the book, The Healer Within. It's very inexpensive, and we get lots, and it's like it's a bestseller in the realm of mind-body practice, and used in many hospitals and wellness programs. So check the links below, and let's be in touch. And definitely see if you can find the link below for the lecture, which I gave on viral defense or virus defense. It's got so much information. And, may all find peace, and may you be well.